G'day mates, ordinary average guy here, and today I'm going to be taking a look at some Giant Mouse knives. This is the Ace line of Giant Mouse. So Giant Mouse is an American company based out of, I think, San Francisco, California. And the knives are made in Italy, and they're designed by rock star knife designer Jens Anso and Jesper Voxnaes. So there's a little background on Giant Mouse. It's not a household name as of yet, but you know, if you're sort of familiar with the knife world, then you've definitely heard of these guys before. I've done a review before on the Biblio. I've also done a review on the Nimbus. Have yet to review this puppy right here, which I'm sort of excited about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just touch on these guys here in a little bit, but I'm going to do a quick little review on the Iona. The Iona, I believe, was the first of the Ace line, which is Giant Mouse's sort of production line of knives, less expensive. So what they do is, you know, and I've told you this guys before, but I'll just go over it once more. What they do is they'll release a set of, I think it's 400. They'll do 300 of a line, and then they'll do 100 of pirate version, as they call it. They'll do like a PVD coating on it, or, you know, do a blackout version or something, and then they discontinue the line. The Ace line is, you know, they make these pieces until basically they stop selling. So, you know, which is nice. I had originally bought the OD green version with the stonewashed blade, thinking that they were going to discontinue, because I read on the website they discontinue the models, and so I ordered one out of like Europe somewhere, and then I found out they were going to keep making them, so I felt like an idiot. But this is sort of the newer version. They come in a bunch of different flavors. You can get like black, gray, blue, green, with either a satin or stonewash blade. Fabulous action on these things, guys. That's the first thing you'll notice when you get one of these puppies. They just fly out. You know, they run on phosphor bronze washers, FRN handle, and M390 blade. It's very Jens Anso handle shape. Love the design of this knife, this sort of Scandinavian style, you know, drop point. This is just, if you know anything about like sort of the Scandinavian style knives, this is very indicative of their style of drop point. A lot like the Nimbus here. You know, this guy's got a little bit more of a belly, but you know, this is a very like Scandinavian, very Jesper Voxnaes style knife blade. But I loved it. I fell in love with this design, and you know, this is the second version of it that I got. I'm a sucker for black and satin. So you know, it's you know, it definitely fulfilled that part of me that I needed. So you got this wire clip on it, sort of this FRN backspacer here. They do have a liner on one side, no liner on the other, but it's a very secure handle, very sturdy handle, I should say. And then they came out with a newer version, which is this aluminum version. So this guy right here is the blue, obviously, with the satin blade. I think you can get a green, OD green, with a stonewash blade as well. But really love this blue on this handle. It just, to me, it just really pops. Really stunning blue. But I think you know, it really took care of some of the issues that people had with this knife here. You know, a lot of people felt that it was really plasticky, and you know, really all you're paying for is a M390 blade. You know, I think that the upgrade in handle material just made this a very sturdy knife, much more premium looking knife with these barrel back spaces. I love the hardware on these guys. It's really good hardware, nice big. You know, nice big Torx bit size. I hate little tiny, you have to get the little tiny Torx bits out and you just strip them out and stuff. The hardware on this stuff is really, really good stuff. So some complaints I got about this thing, guys. First of all, I just want to say, I love this knife. I think for $100, $120, you know, respectively, you know, I think there's very few knives on the market that are better than these guys. I mean, there are some, but, you know, I think if you're, you know, you got $100 and you know, if it's between this and like a Benchmade bug out or a Para 3 lightweight, man, this guy takes the cake for me. Just really, really love the design on it. And I just think it's a really fun knife to play with, and, you know, really elegant looking knife. And this guy right here, if you need a nice grippy handle, man, this guy really takes the cake. It's just got this really aggressive texturing on it, and you know, especially with that curve to the handle here. You know, it's a very sturdy knife. It doesn't feel like it's going to come flying out of your hand at any point. So a couple issues. Look, I'm going to tell you what my biggest complaint with this knife was. GIANTMOUSE does a really good job of crowning their blades. They put this really nice sort of crowning on the top of it, this chamfering, and then they put this really nice jimping halfway up the blade here, which I absolutely love. I think it's a great touch. I just really wish they'd done that with this blade. It's got this sharp angle at the top here. Which I guess if you're doing like a ferro rod, like a fire starter, you know, maybe that it's good for that. But God, I think just with that, just a little bit of chamfering and that jimping right at the top there in the middle of the handle, sorry, the middle of the blade, I think would have just, man, would have made this knife perfect. Some other complaints people have that I've seen, obviously, like I said, the people say, hey, you're just getting a chunk of plastic with an M390 blade, which is a lot of knives in this class, guys. Another big complaint I've heard from people is this knife is too thick behind the sharpened bevel. You know, that's kind of an issue you're going to have. It's a flat grind, and it's a thicker blade stock. Like you can see, it's thicker than the Biblio, a little bit, you know, and it's a sort of a smaller knife. So you got this sort of a shorter flat grind on it, even though it is almost a full flat grind. You got a bit of a top there to it, but you know, it is almost a full flat grind. People do complain that it's a little thick behind the edge, you know, but that's sort of the thing with M390. I mean, unless you're really using and abusing the crap out of these knives, you're not going to really be getting too far up on this blade. You know, I have seen people, you know, do a regrind on it where they, you know, take a few, like a half mil off each side. Which, you know, I've heard really improves it. I think just a nice, you know, aggressive hollow grind on this thing would have done the job just fine. I think you'd get all the life out of this knife back to the top of the hollow grind. And, you know, that sort of would have solved that issue right there. But either way, I mean, look, you know, like I was saying, guys, for you got $120, $100 to spend on a knife. Check this guy out. You know, Jesper Voxnaes and Jens Anso make some excellent knives, and I love the action on this thing. You know, if you don't like this sort of the pocket grater right here on this guy, you know, check out this aluminum version. Even though it is aluminum, it does have this nice, it's sort of like a really fine grit sandpaper feel to it. But this is I think this is a, you know, sort of more of a gentleman's carry. And this guy, man, you can just take out, use and abuse, and you know, I think you get a lot of good life and action out of this thing. Great lockup, great solid. No blade play at all. So I think it's a great camping knife or good beater for $100, you know, which a lot of us in the knife world, that is considered a budget knife. So, one more thing, 2.5 ounces on this guy. It's a little bit heavier with 3 ounces on the new aluminum version. So, you know, that's the difference in weight right there. Big shout out to my boy Big Hoosier over on the IG. Sent me this guy right here to check out. Do appreciate that, my man. I'll put up his tag right here. Go give him a follow. He posts knife pics on IG like we all do, and you know, he's got a great collection. So this is the newer version of the Nimbus. This is the Micarta. This is an OD green Micarta version of the Nimbus. They basically didn't change much. You know, they did a bit more chamfering in this hole there, which I really do appreciate as a lefty, you know, having a spider flick this thing open. But besides that, the only difference is going to be the handle, the scale on the handle. Full disclosure, guys, I love this knife. I think it's one of the best knives out there for sub $200. I've used this thing, man. I take it out camping. I use and abuse the hell out of it. And I haven't had to sharpen it once since I've got it, and it is still razor bloody sharp. M390 is fantastic stuff. Nice full flat grind on it. You know, runs on bearings, 420HC stainless steel liners with a liner lock. It is skeletonized, and it does have this, you know, a wire clip. It's not a too big of a you know, of a wire clip though, so it doesn't feel hot spotty in hand. If you don't know anything about Micarta, which if you're probably watching this, you probably do know about it, but Micarta is basically made from fabric. You can use a canvas, denim, linen, whatever to make Micarta. You know, I do think this is sort of a bleh Micarta. Like, I love the Micarta on this Biblio. I love the what's that called? The texture on it. Like, see that wood grain effect that they have? I think that's a really nice touch. But nice thing about micarta, guys, if it gets wet, it does become more grippy, whereas other knives tend to be slicker when they're wet. Micarta gets, obviously when your hands get sweaty or if they're wet at all, the knife actually grips better. So that is one of the advantages to micarta. And I'm glad to see that they did release into micarta. I didn't think this knife nearly got the love it deserved. I think it's just a really, really great camping knife, great outdoorsy knife, and very simple design too. Like I said, that really nice Scandi style. It's not a Scandi grind, but it's a Scandinavian style drop point blade. Screams Jesper Voxnays right there. And I just think, guys, if you need a nice, good camp, if you're an outdoorsman, you need something to gut fish. I think this would be great for processing animals, like I said when I reviewed it. But that jimping right there really gives you control if you're up cutting under, underneath the skin, trying to skin an animal or anything like that. So I think that it's a great outdoors knife if you're an outdoorsman. I couldn't recommend it higher. So that's the Nimbus, and then the newer version of the Biblio. I think this is probably the biggest. The newer version was changed. This changed the knife the most out of all these designs, even more so than the aluminum version of the Iona. As you can see, this is the titanium version. Obviously, this is the newer one. They also make the micarta here, and they do a G10 version as well. So same good. It's got good action on it. It's not fantastic, not spectacular. It's good enough though. You got this really small flipper tab here, which I really appreciate. I love it. I hate big flipper tabs. I just think they're obnoxious. But I really do. I think this knife it improved it greatly for everyday carry. If you're using it out in the woods, like I was saying about this is also a great outdoors knife. But I think they provide something unique to each other. So if you do like a drop point knife, this guy right here is your guy. And if you want a sheep's blade, something that's a little thinner behind the edge, it's a thinner stock. If you need something slicier, maybe for processing food, this guy's your guy. But this guy does a great job of processing food as well. I use it camping. I cut onions, tomatoes, meat, whatever. It does a great job. But this guy right here, I think they, really this thinner profile and the titanium handle really it made it much more of an elegant gentleman's everyday carry. It's sort of a bigger blade for EDC, but I just think even with that bigger, thicker sheep's foot, it just, when it folds up, it makes a really nice profile and it fits really, really well in pocket. You only got about that much showing up out of the top of your pocket. Got a lanyard hole for yourself there too. But I just think it's a great little EDC. Especially if you're wearing like slacks or something, you need something with a thinner profile. This is the guy. Now, when I first got this thing, guys, the blade center was terrible. And it's starting to go again. You can see right there. It's not, let me see if I can get that closer. I have had to mess with it. Before, when I first got it, it was really bad, which is sort of unacceptable because this is a $225 knife. This version here runs you about $175. This one right here was $225, and the blade centering on it was terrible, absolutely terrible. Now I did fix it. Like I said, they do have two pivot screws on this thing, so it does make it a little easier to adjust. But still, I shouldn't have to be messing with this thing, paying that much money for a knife. You shouldn't having to mess with blade centering. That's really the only issue I've had with blade centering on any of my giant knives, my giant mice, I should say. But I've heard people complain about that before with the Iona as well. So, keep that in mind. Another thing is why the hell this thing is so sharp on all of the versions that I've had. It's really sharp. It just makes it doesn't make it pleasurable to flick open this knife at all. I would like to see a version without a flipper tab. But even with that flipper tab, the biggest issue for a flipper tab with me is intruding on the amount of blade that you can get down to the surface of the cutting, to your cutting surface. But as you can see, this flipper tab doesn't really, you've got maybe a ½ inch of light showing under that blade. So it's because of how small it is and just how they've angled this blade out here past the choil. it feels just spectacular in hand, this micarta version. And this guy right here, even though it's just, you know, it's a slab of titanium, it still feels really good in hand. One other thing I really appreciate with this knife is that they kept it a liner lock. So, you know, so often you see these, you know, titanium frame locks where, you know, me being a lefty, it's not that big of an issue. I don't know how righties deal with it. Like, you know, a lot of these lefty knives I have, these ambidextrous knives I have, when I go to actuate with the knife with my right hand, I'm always pressing on the lock bar with my fingers. I just, you know, I prefer it being a lefty because I can keep my thumb out of the way and, you know, flick the knife open, or if it's, you know, if I'm able to get there past the lock bar, flick it open with my thumb, but I'm able to keep my hand off the lock bar. You know, so that's a great thing. That's you know, I think keeping this thing a liner lock, it improves the knife. You know, you got two show surfaces on this, which is great for lefties. So now I have a show side as well. And, like I said, you're not pushing up against it. You still get a great lock up with a liner lock. I don't know how much stronger, you know, a Reeve integral lock is, the frame lock, than a liner lock is. But I don't know how much strength you need. You know, you'd have to really try to bend this sucker. So yeah, I really like how they kept this thing a liner lock. And I think it's a really beautiful option. They do have like a PVD version. I think it's a PVD. And I think they have a couple different, I think they have a bronze version of this now too, which is significantly heavier than this. This guy right here weighs in at 3.4 ounces. This one's 3.7. I'm sorry, not my scale, but you're gonna have to take my word for it. But as you can see, like all of these knives, they're not giant knives, even though they're giant mouse knives. They're not giant knives. They're all, you know, sort of in that mid-size range. The Nimbus is obviously the biggest one, you know, lengthwise anyway. But I mean, it's only what, half an inch bigger than the Biblio. Biblio is going to run you about 7. This guy is about 7.5, and this guy right here is about 7. So you know, they're all within that 7.5 range. You know, you got a 3-inch blade with the Biblio, about 3.25 with the Nimbus, and then a 3-inch blade with the Iona. So look, guys, I think that, you know, they did a really good job of improving, taking a great design that they, you know, giant mouse design, which everybody loves, and just making some slight improvements, some simple improvements, but things that vastly change the knife, you know, maybe to suit other people's needs. So check them out, guys. I can't recommend these guys enough. I mean, duh. You go on the IG, people love the giant mouse knives. Shank Sharpeners Union, baby. Anyway, give me a follow, guys. Hit subscribe. Follow me on the IG. I'll put it right here. You know, hopefully you liked this video. If you've got any questions for me, don't hesitate to ask. I know it's been a while since I released a video. I promise I won't wait to release another one. Wait as long, I should say. And, you know, hopefully you like this one. And hopefully, you know, you can check out some giant mouse knives. Thanks a lot, guys, and have a great day.